Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Sam, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I drew this little red panda, and primarily just targeting the section of fur just above the eye that I'm working on there. So you can see that I have already laid down some base layers, and I've used circular pencil strokes to lay down 3 layers of the terracotta colour in the Faber-Castell polychromos. And now I'm just going in and mapping where the certain patterns of the fur is. So I'm mapping in the darkest part, still using this terracotta colour in the Faber-Castell. And I'm just kind of trying to map out where dark parts are, where the longer fur is, using longer pencil strokes. Now going in with the raw sanguine and just adding a little bit of depth to that fur. Just to say that the full tutorial of this is available on my Patreon channel, so if you look up Samantha Clift, and there's lots of other tutorials on there too. So you can see I'm going in with lots of different colours and adding layers and layers and layers of the same pencil, just slightly changing the tone with the sanguine and going in with some browns. This is the raw umber, and what I'm doing is just going over the areas that I've mapped out as dark parts of the fur and blending them in really gently with short pencil strokes, just building up these depths of colour, the different tones, the different lengths of fur. As it goes towards the ear, you can see I'm using slightly longer pencil strokes to create that softness of the fur. And the gaps between the fur, where the fur has parted, I'm going in with darker and darker tones. So with colour pencils, you go from light to dark because they're very difficult to rub out, and then it got more of a chance of not making too many mistakes. So I'm just building up the colours slowly, adding the different colours. I probably used about 20 different colours on this fur. So going in with the raw umber and just going over the areas that I've already mapped out with the terracotta colour. You can see it kind of creates quite lines in the fur, these parted areas, and there's also some areas that it creates 2 partings that split, so like a V shape. And all these little kind of imperfections in the fur makes it look more realistic because it's not so uniformed. If you kind of use the same pencil stroke over and over again, it just wouldn't look real because it's not how it looks. So now I'm going over with a Caran d'Ache luminance pencil, and I'm using the side of the pencil to blend. This is a wax-based pencil, so really great for going over the top and just softening the fur. What that tends to do is take out the harsh lines of the Faber-Castell, which are a lot harder. They're oil-based, and it just softens it. So every now and again I'll go over with a layer to blend a very light colour, but this does take some of the pigment out, so then you need to add it back in. You can see I'm using a really bright orange in the Caran d'Ache luminance pencil just to add a little bit of a boost to the tone, to the pigment of colour, and another orange there. Where the sun caught the fur, it really did shine bright red, and so I'm just using this quite sparingly. I'm not going over completely with that colour. It's really important that you don't add too much, otherwise it can look quite fake. Going in with the raw umber now, again into the partings of the fur and just darkening it up a little bit more. And what I'm trying to do now is create depth in the fur, so the fur that's in front of these dark lines will stand forward, and it will show a shadow in the parts of the fur that are further back, or create a nice curve to the fur. So the panda doesn't have a flat head, it has a curve, and so that's what these shadows are showing. This is what I'm trying to achieve, that kind of curve to the head, making some parts of the fur stand forward and some parts go back into the shadow. I'm going in with the sanguine colour again and just filling in you can see there's quite a few gaps now where it's a little bit grainy still, so I'm just adding that colour in short pencil strokes with a very light hand, just filling in those gaps to blend it in, because I've gone to the darkest parts. They're not as dark as they need to be yet, but you can see there's quite a big contrast between the highlight and the shadow, and that needs to be blended in a little bit more to make it look more realistic. Going in with the darker browns now. This is the Van Dyke brown in the Faber-Castell, and again blending with the Caran d'Ache luminance pencil to soften the edges of the pencil strokes and to get rid of the graininess of the paper too. That's a highlight there I'm just working on, so I don't want that to be too dark because I really want that to stand forward. It's really catching the light. And I'm not going over the really darkest parts of the partings of the fur because that will just take away the pigment there. So just adding some darker parts around the ear. This is the part that's furthest back, so I wanted to make sure that that was completely in shadow, and I can glaze over with the different colours. In with the burnt sienna now, which is a really lovely rich reddy brown colour. So I'm just adding this to that highlighted area, making sure that I'm not going too heavy-handed, very small pencil strokes, and just darkening up that area a little bit more, softening with the terracotta and the royal sanguine, filling in those highlighted areas. It's quite cathartic, this. It's just small pencil strokes going over and over the same area, building up the layers. And it takes a lot more than you think it might do, so just, you know, keep going, don't stop, and the more you add, the more depth it will have and the more realistic it will look. So darkening up the really darkest parts, you can see as I've added that colour there, it really brings that fur forward in front of it, which is ideal. This sienna colour is fantastic because you can see there I've added it to the side of the face and it's really brought everything to life. It's a very nice natural colour in the fur. You can add this to black fur, or, you know, darkest parts of kind of the yellowy fur of a Labrador, say. Darkening up some more, I'm going in with the walnut brown and adding that to the already darkened parts of the partings, just to darken them up and make sure they're as dark as they need to be. Softening the edges, because you can find that you just end up with harsh stop lines and the fur needs to look soft and all blended in, which is what I'm doing now. Using slightly longer lines for the longer fur, and you can see that kind of triangle that I talked about, just blending that in to the fur around it. Just constantly checking your reference photo, making sure that you're looking at it closely to see where these areas are, and not really using the colours that you think might be there, but actually really observing that reference photo to check and double check which colours. There you go, you can see it's building up now, really adding the depth. I'm probably on layer 12 now, 13, 14 maybe, and darkening just around the eyes. Just really accentuating that kind of fluffy white area just above the eye, making sure that sits back, and again softening the area around the side of the head. And last, going in with the dark sepia, which is a really great earthy colour, just glazing over, adding some more shadow where it needs to be. So a light hand, but going backwards and forwards, and it just glazes over without taking the lines away of the fur. Going in with a little bit more brown, the Van Dyke brown, just glazing over and adding some shadows where they need to be. And there you go, that's the finished fur. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.